Hello and welcome everyone. The topic which is next in the series of lectures on hemorrhagic disorders are Bernard-Solier syndrome and Glanzmann thrombocythemia. These two topics, they are important from exam point of view. Sometimes question can come in the theory exam, and many problem based questions they come in the entrance examination. So many times these questions on these topics they are asked. Now these two diseases, they are part of qualitative defects of platelets. So there are a group of disorders. One is quantitative, another is qualitative platelet defects. In the quantitative defects, we include the diseases in which the platelet count is less than 1.5 lakh per cubic millimeter. Those are the quantitative platelet defects, and the other group of diseases are the qualitative platelet defects, where there is either defect in platelet adhesion or aggregation or granule release. So these defects will result in primary hemostatic disorders, and usually the platelet counts are normal, but in some cases they can be decreased also, like in Bernard-Solier syndrome. These diseases can either be inherited or they can be acquired. The important ones are, first and foremost, Glanzmann thrombocythemia, which is due to a defect in the platelet aggregation due to the defective glycoprotein 2B receptor. Then second is Bernard-Solier syndrome. It is also important adhesion defect due to defective glycoprotein 1B receptor. Then Gray platelet syndrome, which is because of alpha granule defect. Then in the category of delta granule defect, there can be storage pool defect, Jerdych-Higashi syndrome, then Wiskott-Aldrich syndrome, and thrombocytopenia and absent radii syndrome. So these are the defects in the two granules which are present inside the platelets and which have an important role in the platelet activation and aggregation. And the acquired causes, important ones are paraproteinemias, diseases like multiple myeloma, then drugs like aspirin, which cause the inhibition of the cyclooxygenase enzyme, and thereafter it will decrease the production of thromboxane A2, which is a potent platelet aggregate. Then uremia. In uremia also there can be defects in platelet adhesion, aggregation, and as well as granule release. So these are the important qualitative platelet defects, and I will be discussing Glanzmann and Bernard-Solier. So I told you earlier also that Bernard-Solier syndrome is because of defect in the glycoprotein 1B receptor. It is in the form of complex of glycoprotein 1B, 9 and 5. So these it binds the platelets to the subendothelium by way of von Willebrand factor. So this is the platelet, this is the glycoprotein 1B receptor, and the receptor for von Willebrand factor, which is the link between this GP1B and the subendothelial collagen. So when this glycoprotein 1B receptor is defective, results in Bernard-Solier syndrome. There will be defects of adhesion of the platelet. Second is Glanzmann thrombocythemia. So the other thing was, this was adhesion, and second point is about aggregation of the platelets. So in aggregation, what happens? The platelets, they are cross-linked with the help of fibrinogen molecule and by way of these glycoprotein 2B3A receptors. These are the receptors which are cross-linking the platelets with the help of fibrinogen molecule and GP2B3A receptor complex. So when this 2B3A receptor is defective, it will result in platelet aggregation defect known as Glanzmann thrombocythemia. So these are the causes of these two qualitative defects of platelets. Now we shall see the differences and the similarities in these two disorders. Very often questions are asked in the entrance exams. Problems are based on these facts which I am telling right now. So both are inherited and both are autosomal recessive in inheritance. Second, the defect is in the GP1B95 complex, while here the defect is in glycoprotein 2B3A complex. So this is the first difference. Second, Since the defect is in glycoprotein 1b, so it is a defect in platelet adhesion because glycoprotein 1b will help in binding of the platelet to the subendothelial collagen by way of von Willebrand factor. While this is a defect in platelet aggregation because GP2B3A will help in cross-linking of the platelets and aggregation of platelets by way of the fibrinogen molecules. Now, bleeding time it will be prolonged in both these disorders because there is a defect in the platelets in both of them. Then in flow cytometry, by flow cytometry we can assess the decreased levels of just this glycoproteins. So glycoprotein 1b in case of Bernard-Soulier and glycoprotein 2b3a in case of Glanzmann thrombocythemia. So flow cytometry will help in the diagnosis of both these disorders. Next very important point is the test known as ristocetin induced platelet aggregation. So ristocetin is an antibiotic that induces the platelet agglutination with the help of von Willebrand factor. So this antibiotic helps in binding of the von Willebrand factor to the GP1b on the platelets. So it increases the aggregation by increasing the binding of von Willebrand factor to GP1b. So since in Bernard-Soulier and in von Willebrand disease, where there is severe deficiency of von Willebrand factor, these ristocetin induced platelet aggregation will be defective because ristocetin will increase the binding between GP1b and von Willebrand factor. So in case these two factors are defective or deficient, then RIPA will be abnormal. So it is very important to solve many questions problem based that abnormal RIPA will be seen in case of severe deficiency of von Willebrand factor like in von Willebrand disease or Bernard-Soulier syndrome. So in Bernard-Soulier syndrome, this RIPA is defective because there is involvement of GP1b receptor in ristocetin induced platelet aggregation. While in case of Glanzmann thrombocythemia, the RIPA will be absolutely normal. So this is the very important key point often given in the problem based questions. Second important point is in Glanzmann thrombocythemia, the aggregation will be defective with ADP, collagen and epinephrine, while it will be normal in case of Bernard-Soulier syndrome because these molecules they help in platelet aggregation by way of GP2B receptors. So it will be defective in case of Glanzmann thrombocythemia while it will be normal in case of Bernard-Soulier. Next, another important point which is again helpful in solving the problem based question is that if we take a sample of the patient and make a peripheral blood smear, then giant platelets are seen in case of Bernard-Soulier syndrome. So again this is important point which can be helpful in the PBQs. Second point is thrombocytopenia is seen in case of Bernard-Soulier syndrome, but it is not seen in case of Glanzmann thrombocythemia, and also giant platelets will not be seen in Glanzmann thrombocythemia. And lastly, the test of coagulation will be normal in both Bernard-Soulier and Glanzmann thrombocythemia because there is no defect of secondary hemostasis. So all these points they are very important, and you should learn all these points, and this will be helpful to write the answer like a short note and also to solve the PBQs. Then lastly, the acquired disorders of platelet function, it can be due to aspirin. Aspirin inhibits the cyclooxygenase enzyme, where it will decrease the production of thromboxane A2, which helps in the platelet aggregation. So it will result in an acquired defect of platelet function. And in uremia also there is defective platelet adhesion, aggregation and granule release. And also in case of paraproteinemias, we will find acquired disorders of platelet function. Now let us solve few MCQs related to these disorders. So first question is, a 4-year-old boy, this is a child, evaluated for recurrent epistaxis and other abnormal bleeding episodes like excessive bleeding from the umbilical cord at birth. Laboratory studies shows decreased hemoglobin with microcytic hypochromic red cell indices, normal platelet count, normal PT, normal PTT. Platelet aggregation studies reveal a normal platelet response to ristocetin. So with ristocetin, the platelet aggregation is normal, but with other substances like collagen, ADP, epinephrine, this patient's platelets exhibit a primary wave defect. So there is a defect in aggregation with collagen, ADP, epinephrine. Based on these findings, which of the following is the most likely diagnosis? So it is a case of a boy. So it is a inherited defect, congenital defect. So the presentation is seen in case of a boy. Then in both Bernard Solier and Glanzmann, the patient presents with bleeding episodes like epistaxis or bleeding from the mucous membranes, and the studies for coagulation, they are absolutely normal because there is no secondary hemostatic defect. And the most important point which helps in the diagnosis is this, that aggregation with ristocetin is normal, but with collagen, ADP and epinephrine is abnormal. So it's a case of Glanzmann thromboasthenia, because in Glanzmann thromboasthenia there is defective aggregation with these collagen, ADP, epinephrine, while normal response with ristocetin. So we come to the diagnosis of Glanzmann thromboasthenia. Then another question, newborn baby presented with profuse bleeding from the umbilical cord after birth, and rest of the examination and PT, APTT, they are normal. So most likely diagnosis is, so answer could be both Glanzmann thromboasthenia and Bernard Solier, because it is a congenital disorder in a child and coagulation tests are normal. But Glanzmann thromboasthenia is more common than Bernard Solier, so we will take option B. Then glycoprotein 2B, there should be 3. 2B3A complex is deficient in, answer is simple, Glanzmann disease. Then Glanzmann disease is characterized by which of the following? Congenital defect of RBCs? No. Then defect of neutrophils? No. Congenital defects of platelet? Yes. So the answer is C. So it is a congenital defects of platelet, qualitative defect. Then again same question, Glanzmann thromboasthenia is characterized by defective 2B3A, GP 2B3A. And last, patient with bleeding due to platelet function defects has which of the following features? So if there is a platelet function defect, like in case of Bernard Solier and Glanzmann, we will have usually we have a normal platelet count and the bleeding time will be increased. So this we have the usual finding in platelet function defect is normal platelet count and increased bleeding time. Although like in Bernard Solier we can get decreased platelet count also, but in usual terms, the usual finding is normal platelet count and increased bleeding time. So such questions they come related to Bernard Solier and Glanzmann thromboasthenia, and importantly you have to learn all these points which will help you in the exams. So these are the references for text and MCQs. Thank you so much.